to do.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, cool. So, welcome to Second Friday Art Night. We are going to have a conversation with Rett Peek, our photographer for the Arkansas Made books, along with Donna Updegrove, our deputy director, and Jennifer Carmen, who wrote the fine art book. And so, if everyone kind of wants to go around and introduce themselves a little, say hey, so we can hear your voice and know who you are.
Hello, all. I'm Rett Peek. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Awesome.
That's who he is. Hi, everyone. I'm Donna Updegrove, and I basically facilitate how some of this stuff happens, but I haven't been privy to all the experiences, so I'm excited to be here tonight and hear tell of the photo shoot for Arkansas Made.
Yeah.
I'm Jennifer Carmen. I am actually kind of an art history geek, and I'm an art appraiser, and I also have been fortunate to work on this project for many, many years as kind of a guest. So thank you.
Yeah, and then I'm Victoria. I'm the curator of collections and worked alongside everybody here on the project for many, many years. You know, Arkansas Made research, as we all know, kind of takes you strange places. But Rett, how did you kind of start with us? Do you remember how you got hired?
Well, yeah, I think initially Caroline Miller
yes, who's not here
reached
tonight,
out to me. I mean, I don't even remember how long ago at this point, via email, and was, really just inquiring about just having a few pieces photographed. I guess she was kind of fishing to see if I was capable or willing or interested at that point. So, it started with coming in and photographing a few.
Oh, the table, the prison table.
Yes.
I think the parquetry table was the first one.
Yeah, and that was at y'all's ham.
Yeah, that was in our recent act exhibit. I think so. Yeah. So had you photographed objects before in that manner?
I had, yeah. For a few kind of designers and antique dealers who would, kind of try to sell things that they found, and but never fine art and artifacts of this nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it daunting at all?
I mean, I wasn't privy to the scope of the
Did
project
you know what you were
and the
signing up
scale.
for?
No, yeah. So no, I was like, cool, let's do this. And then, it quickly got crazy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we're trying to count. I know that there are over 1,300 images in the book. I think you shot over 1,000 of them. Well over 1,000. I think there's just the some vernacular architecture images, and then photography. But besides that, I think every other image in the book is
I remember that first shoot. I did actually sort of audit. I don't know how helpful I was at that first shoot. And I remember, of course, we find the objects interesting, but I remember when you first sent your edited photos back to us, and, you made that prison table, sexy. Can I say sexy?
Yeah.
I remember we were all just drooling over the images, what?
Yeah, what?
Who did what to these objects? I mean, and it even made us look at it made us look at the objects differently.
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting because we'd had a photographer back almost 20 years ago now who photographed stuff, but it's just so stock imagey and it's not. It is they're just not that appealing. I don't know. Somehow it's you draw out the personality of the objects.
Yeah, I think maybe a lot has changed in the way that we do what we do now. The fact that I could be tethered to a computer and all of y'all could be looking at the images and point out what needed to be showcased and which angles kind of illustrated, the interesting tidbits of a piece that, and then obviously tweaking the lighting and whatnot on set is a big deal, and 20 years ago. They didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it was on film, and
Yeah.
you're like, cross your fingers, maybe. You know.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That was something I really loved about the process,
Mhm.
is being able to actually have kind of real-time feedback of
Yes.
the images that were being shot right then and there, so that we could influence them. Because there were many of us in the room, and we all had opinions, and we all loved the objects and wanted them to look their best.
Mhm.
So I think, and I recall, with all of these shoots, we would have a list of what we were what we were thinking we were going to photograph that day. And very early on in the process, I think we all realized, that it wasn't going to go as quickly as we had thought, because each object needed to be pampered and babied, and we needed to get it just right before we could move on. And so maybe we thought we were going to do 40 objects, and maybe we only did 25, and that was kind of part of the learning curve, and I'm glad we were patient with it, because I think it paid off.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, some of them were, I remember we tried to be more thematic, so it would be easier on us, like all the guns in one day.
Right.
And that was tricky, because we had to get our conservator at the time to make that like a ramrod, essentially,
Sure.
to lift the guns up, and it was very, you shot the guns upside down.
Right.
They were pointing the ground. And so it was easier and faster, but then some days it was, we forgot about, a chest of drawers, and then there's a teaspoon, and then it's a painting, and it's just like every situation is different lighting, whole different setup, and even just physically moving the object takes the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There was a lot of creative problem solving
Yeah.
In real time.
Yeah,
so.
definitely. When we kind of have some fun memories of photo shoots, where were some of the craziest places you went, or more interesting? Because it took you all over the state.
Well, I mean, gosh. So definitely the vernacular architecture section, because, there were places that I definitely couldn't point out on a map, and could tell you the county I was in, but I'd have to look specifically at that section. But so one was this kiln house that was up in northeast Arkansas, outside Pocahontas, maybe. That was definitely a hard one to find. I think a lot of the places were just difficult to find.
Yes.
It was also there's an old mill in Boxley Valley. That thing is, I had to hop a couple fences and was behind someone's property, and had no idea if I was in the right place, and no cell service.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, lots of cow pastures.
Indeed. And then what's the, gosh, you can edit this part, right?
yeah.
Let's come back to that.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, one of my favorite memories is, and one that took forever was, I don't remember how many days, but it might have been like 2 weeks worth, but it was the quilts, photographing all the quilts. And we keep talking about, for those listening, we keep talking about HAM and CMF. So HAM obviously stands for Historic Arkansas Museum, but CMF is our collections management facility. And it's this big warehouse that's, how many square feet?
Overall, not, it might be like 15,000 square feet overall. Our space is something like 8,000.
Yeah. And then we have all of our, most of our collection over there. So about, 30,000 objects over there. And in one of the spaces we had just gotten, which is new to us, but it still had these light bulbs that were all like, just pure yellow. And you couldn't change them. And so when we got into
it was like a UV filter or something.
Yeah, was
this
that
yellow UV filter?
But it was terrible. And so we turned the light on, and it was like we were all having a psychedelic experience. Because it was the color, the solid color, you thought it was purple, it's green. It's just like, what's up, what's down.
This is not interesting, but one of my long-standing memories of that photo shoot is how cool I thought Rhett's extension cords were, because I thought they were hot pink from the weird lighting.
Yeah.
And it was just a regular, like caution tape orange color, but they looked really cool. I was like, red has the coolest extension cords. Could he be cool in any, like he's cool in every way.
Well, and you were
Knew
also
it was
had
cool,
to,
but
True.
you had to climb up the ladder and like, yeah, we were trying to find photos of that because it was just, you were like, 20 feet up in the air trying to photograph these quilts that are massive.
No, yeah, I felt like I was in a weird space station or something with that light.
Yeah.
Give you vertigo when the daylight would flash,
Yes. And then we'd turn the lights back on.
It's definitely a unique space because there is no natural light. So when you are there, you're in this sort of time warp. And then when you leave, it's sort of like leaving a movie theater that is quite overwhelming to your retinas.
Yes.
And yeah, I have spent a lot of time at CMF over the years, rolling out quilts and photographing objects. But this was really unique because, we had all these tube socks that we were wearing and we were crawling around to try to not soil the plain white backgrounds of some of the objects. And rolling out quilts is quite hard work.
Yes.
For most people have not considered what that's like to roll out a textile on the floor and to do that many times a day. But that was fairly laborious.
Yeah, and often it would be the last one, so we'd have to unroll 2 just to get to the quilt we want to shoot and then roll them all back up again.
I mean, I think all the shoots, no matter what, were often like extremely intellectually and physically exhausting.
Yes.
And like Jennifer said, we'd get halfway through our list of things we needed to photograph. So
yeah, all the furniture was just nuts to photograph.
If we could
we
film the process of moving an object to the place it was being photographed, or unrolling a quilt, or it's just something that the public may never be privy to. We should be better about capturing.
It's true. A
Video
painting
of that.
has fewer possibilities as far as angles to document it from, and when you bring in 3-dimensional objects, it's endless.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a different ballgame, really.
Yeah, and we love, for us, it's exciting to see the back of a piece or to see the hinges or just all these random small details. We got to take a drawer out so you can see those inside, just tiny little things.
Segue to, and I don't know if we're getting into an aesthetics conversation or not, but segue to a comment that was made off the recording earlier about how the guns in particular were photographed and edited to be sort of deconstructed, which gives more emphasis to the great detail on the gun than the object as a whole. Which really, has a different narrative than a detail shot of some part of it, some part of the gun. But in the book, they're all laid out real beautifully as this, sort of deconstructed picture. And it definitely, for any listeners that haven't opened the section about guns, it's just a beautiful layout.
Yeah, the weaponry is all really interesting. My favorites are the hunting horns.
Oh, me too, actually. They're so beautiful.
They're so crazy.
Yeah.
Just all the little detail, and even just like when we were photographing, how you would, I feel like we photographed them kind of later, because it was interesting to watch you, towards the end, you're like, I've got, I'll angle it, like you had it down. You would tell us that's what we needed. Which was great, but the hunting horns are just like how they are arched, sitting on the tabletop is just beautiful.
Yeah, so elegant.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like this. Yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah,
I thought about it. I had never really thought about hunting horns at all ever, or maybe even didn't know what they were. It's hard to discern before I started working at the museum.
Yeah, it's very cool. Well, so going back to vernacular architecture, are there some wild stories of being on the road? Because you shot most of the places at sunrise, right? Or am I making that up?
Yeah. So either dusk or dawn.
Yeah.
And
you're by yourself.
mainly, for the most part, I was. Yeah. I mean, there were certain areas that I felt uneasy. That's for sure. Because you didn't know y'all had given me the okay, so I knew for the most part,
Yes.
I was where I should be if I found the right spot. But yeah, no, I definitely felt uneasy here and there just because, backwoods, Arkansas. You never know what you're going to get into.
Mhm.
But for the most part, I mean, it was,
Yeah.
just nice being in new spots and
Yeah.
back
Well,
road.
and they're all interesting because most of them are private still. They're people's private property, and so no one can go see them really. Did you have a favorite that you saw that was one of the private ones?
A favorite structure?
Mm-hmm.
Goodness, there's a house off of, I want to say like Highway 5 or something in like Benton or Bryant or
The Victorian house.
yeah, maybe.
Oh, yes.
It just looked just crazy and haunting and
Yes.
just from another world almost.
It used to be a log cabin that someone Victorianized in the
Yeah.
1870s, and it's like a 2-story massive structure that's got. I mean, it's not in good condition right now.
Yeah, no, not at all.
But it
which
does-
added to the
Yes.
feeling.
And they have no trespassing signs everywhere. In fact, they Abandoned Arkansas did a shoot of their stuff, and someone the owner emailed me. It was like, you cannot. How dare you trespass on my property?
Oh, right,
And
wow.
be like, well, we had permission, and I think it was like, we shot from a distance, so we didn't get on your land. But that's one of the coolest places. It's so weird. That's like a perfect example of vernacular architecture
Absolutely,
in
yeah, yeah.
Arkansas.
And so, I mean, how many people it was added onto multiple times?
Yeah, so
and, okay.
there was one family, and they built the log house, and then someone else took over, and then they made it into a Victorian house
Yeah.
in the 1870s. So,
Very interesting.
yeah, it's very bizarre. Some German family, I think. Well, so I know another thing that was we knew we were worried about because we have difficulty even just taking photos in house. But some of the really shiny stuff like daguerreotypes and silver, which we had quite a bit of, did that prove challenging and to do?
Yeah, for sure. I think oddly enough, like the smallest pieces in y'all's collection
Mhm.
were the hardest to photograph.
Yeah.
Just, I guess, a lot of them were silver and
Mhm.
super reflective and
Yeah.
shiny, and so yeah, that was a whole process in itself.
Mhm.
Trying to figure out how to knock down all the highlights. and,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I think I took a picture of you like stuck in one of those. What are they called? The tent things.
Yeah.
But it's
You
for. I think it's for like. I mean, it's like maybe an inch wide.
Yeah, probably for a spoon or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
But it's so tiny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I remember we went to someone's house in, it was Fadra Craven's house in Northwest Arkansas, up in Van Buren. And it was the portrait of one of his ancestors. I think she might be a German, but it's a woman who's wearing this black dress. It's painted by Edward Payson Washburn. I remember that was like one of the most aha moments because in the house, the piece is now in Ham's collection, but in the house with the lighting, looked like she was wearing a black dress. And then you took the photograph and we realized she's wearing this like bright blue, purpley, shiny dress. And it was one of the coolest things that we had seen. It was, but it's just a testament to how like the photography brings out so many details that you cannot see with your naked eye.
That's
Yeah.
true. That was the portrait of Mary Louise Rutherford,
Mhm.
and it looked so dark,
Mhm.
and the colors really came to life in your photograph. It was just stunning. I don't think the family had not seen what that photo really
Mhm.
looks like,
Mm.
and I remember they were really moved by
Mhm.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the difference between a portrait in a dark home
Yes.
is going to be very different than
Yeah.
a well lit
Mhm.
photograph, I guess.
Yes. Well, I think it's such, that's a wonderful thing of why we wanted to extend the books as well. It's just such a people have had these family treasures in their houses forever, and it's just great to bring new life into it and new appreciation for it.
I think so. In fact, we've talked a lot about the shoots at CMF or at the museum proper, but I think certainly we can all agree a lot of the most interesting shoots were the ones where ordinary people welcomed us into their homes and shared their treasures with us, because that really is like setting foot into a private museum that the public will never see. And I really remember a shoot you did downtown in Little Rock, not far from the museum, at a home where you took photographs of Samuel Mandelbaum's portrait that had been painted by Jenny Deloney. And Jenny Deloney had a studio not far from where you were shooting the images, and the portrait had been hanging in that house for many generations, and to capture it right there where it was, and to be able to share it with other Arkansans, I think is such a special thing.
Definitely.
Really an honor. I always feel like it's an honor to go into someone's home and to have them share with you their personal family collections, because it's a different experience of the thing and a different context of seeing an object, and so really special.
For sure. Did any of the things you learned while photographing this strengthen your skills when you were shooting portraits now and interior shots and architecture shots?
Yeah, I guess so. Just because, I had to figure out how to light every single piece had to be lit in such particular ways. And so I ended up moving lights around in ways that maybe I hadn't before. To the side or the back or the top, which might have been counterintuitive before. But I had to figure out ways to bounce light around that wouldn't, reflect and shine and take away from the finish or the shape or, so yeah, it just kind of taught me to just not think about kind of the rules or the way I'd been taught to light things. The typical kind of standard lighting scenarios.
Oh, interesting.
So that segment of the conversation is called "What We Did for Rett."
Yeah, there we go.
You're welcome.
Oh man. Let me see. Do you remember any particularly challenging, any of the shoots?
Well, there were sometimes when we were going to people's homes or to area museums, there were pieces that we couldn't move or touch. And so we'd have to figure out a way to not only get the right angle, but light based on certain restrictions. I'm remembering maybe there was some sort of grandfather clock or something.
At the old State House.
Yeah.
The World's Fair clock. Yeah, and it was just in the corner.
Yeah.
Couldn't touch it.
Right.
In a room with other furniture that you also couldn't touch.
Yeah.
And so you had to do your setup.
Yeah, so I think those were the most challenging, because we were used to, at this point, just moving a piece in on set, changing all the angles, getting everything we wanted, and then going someplace that we couldn't do any of that was definitely a new challenge to deal with, for sure.
Yeah, they're all very interesting. I remember photographing a lot of the Native American artifacts up in Fayetteville, because we were with, it was fun to be with Dr. Early, who was just sitting there telling us all about it. But we had gotten to, I think we were the first people, you were the first person to photograph that quartz arrowhead or pommelt. That's one of the oldest artifacts found in America.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
So cool. Yeah, what was that, 10,000 BC?
Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah, very, very cool. So that was in Fayetteville. I felt like we were in.
Yeah, we were at the University of Arkansas museum, or their collections facility /
Okay.
archaeology
that's right.
station.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Because Dr. Suter was there, and we photographed that seed bag,
Yes.
and the seeds
Some
fell
of the
out.
seeds fell out. Yeah,
and
that's
we
right.
spent like 30 minutes waiting
Yeah.
for her to pick up each individual seed
Yeah.
because they're so valued. Scientists come from all over to get like a partial sample of one seed to then study, and they're they're smaller than chia seeds. They're
Sure.
tiny.
Yeah.
Oh my
That was
gosh.
fun. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, that arrowhead. It was an arrowhead,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and the fact that they were using crystal, like
Yes.
quartz.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
which
and
is
it's shiny. It's,
like nothing could be more Arkansan than that.
yes,
right?
totally. Yeah. Yeah, and then going into down in Old Washington was really fun. I think Old Washington was one of the early on shoots, right? I think that.
I mean, the timeline's a jumble at this point, but yeah,
I know.
that was fun because, I feel like we had a large team at
Mhm.
that shoot,
We
right?
did. Caroline Miller was
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
We were in the back of a pickup truck getting
Okay.
driven around
Yeah.
the grounds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There were
Swanee
these
was there. Yeah.
wonderful cats that were prowling
Oh,
about.
yeah.
I made friends with all of them, naturally.
Yeah, that was great. I hadn't been there since I was a child. So
Oh yeah.
that
Yeah.
was cool. Seeing
Yeah.
that again as well.
Yeah, and that was different too because we were photographing the houses and the pieces inside the houses.
Yeah.
Because their collection, they have some at a collections facility, but most of it's on display.
Mhm.
So we were just like hopping around. I remember just being like, checking each piece of furniture, like, did we need to photograph that? Did we photograph everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just like waiting on the light to pop around for the different. I mean, we photographed several different buildings
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, some of the houses, and then that the United Methodist Church that
Mhm.
down there. Mhm. Yeah, it was a long time. That was a whole day worth of just
That was a whole
photographing.
day.
Mhm.
And I don't know about you, Rett, but I wanted to photograph every single object anywhere
Uh-huh.
while we're there.
Sure.
It was so fun. It was interesting too going back because there's one bed that's in the upstairs of this house, and it's the first image in the original Arkansas Made books, and it's one of the first beds we show. But it was fun to see the progression of that original image and then your new photograph for it. It
Oh,
was really
yeah,
cool.
cool.
Yeah, fun. 30 years later. We keep, I can't remember how long we worked on or photograph stuff. I mean, I feel like I can't even remember when it started. It's been years, and
I mean, I think we started in 2014.
wait, I think you're right.
And
With the
so-
table, yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
and then I don't think things really got rolling
Mm.
until the next year.
Yeah.
Ish.
I think it ended
2015
2015 and started 2016 maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's when it ended.
That's when it got rolling.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Right? And then it was like, it felt like every couple months or every month there was
Yeah.
something.
For a couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
sure.
2 years.
Yeah, like I said, it's a jumble now, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Arkansas Made team had to take a break and put these books together.
Well, and then we had to call Rett back because we were like, oh crap, we forgot about this other stuff. Or new things came to light, and we're like, oh, we have to get it in.
Yeah.
That's
It is a project that never ends, and it was great to have a timeline that sets it out. But like a colleague has said, as soon as you publish something, it's already out of date. So we've got
It's definitely
more
out of
things
date.
to show.
As we were kind of finishing those photo shoots, I realized that I had some serious writing to do.
Yeah.
That I needed to get on it. And the thing is, you're right, now that the book has come out, I already have this whole list of artists that were not included or
Mhm.
objects by artists that are included, but we didn't know that any of their objects still existed.
Oh, yes.
And so I'm basically ready for the next one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. There's so much more to cover.
Well, and I'll say kudos to everybody at this table, Rhett, Victoria, Jennifer, and those not
Yeah,
here.
and Caroline, yeah.
Courtney Potts and
Oh, yes.
Caroline Miller
Oh,
and
yeah.
numerous others that worked on this throughout the years. Am I forgetting anyone big?
We've had many heroes.
Yeah.
So, as the person that's been kind of on the sidelines, like watching it happen, making sure we got Rett paid and whatever, to see it come to fruition in such a beautiful way is like, I don't know, it just sort of connects all the dots and ties a pretty little bow on top. And so, will help perpetuate all the moving forward that has to happen with the next publication and the next round of photographs. But it's brilliant. I mean, and it's hard to sort of understand that when you're watching you guys mid-process, but seeing it come together with the Arkansas Made Team's efforts, like, wow.
No, it's even, I mean, I like, even working on the book and doing the edits, and I had to do all the final editing and layout approval, and seeing it on a computer is one thing, but like getting them in person was just so much more impressive than beyond my wildest expectations.
And so successful, and sought after, and
it was great.
Local people near and far want the books. For good
Yeah,
reason.
that's been a fun thing we were kind of talking about earlier. It's just how exciting, it's not just for someone who's interested in history or art or, Arkansas. It's just so appealing to so many different people. It's very eye-catching. Yeah, very exciting.
That was the book promo section.
Yeah, go get books. They're very affordable. They're $39.95.
We all have a lot to be proud of.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I will never forget till the day I die when the books finally came in and you called me and said, come to the museum. And I came to the lobby and we did this little dance that was kind of like you'd think we were stomping grapes. And we were so excited to actually see it in front of us because we'd seen these layouts on the computer screen, but the computer screen doesn't do an art object justice any more than it did this book justice. And so having it in our hands was just such a celebration.
Yeah.
And I hate that it happened during COVID when we couldn't really properly celebrate with all the people involved, because this has really been a labor of love and passion for so many years, for so many important people. I feel like Swanee Bennett and Bill Worthen just hung the moon with this. This is just epic. And I feel like Caroline Miller made this happen.
Yes.
And I feel like, I hate that she's not here tonight.
Oh, I know.
Do you like how I left Bill and Swanee out of the gratitude I just look forward to? I mean, the people that started the Arkansas Made Project, maybe the most important people to mention.
No, but Caroline was the force behind actually getting the content done. Like the books, getting the photo shoot scheduled, making Swanee write. Like I remember we had the photo shoot done. He still didn't finish writing the essays. And so
late nights in the Legacy building, taking wine from the art night.
But it was great, and she made it, and she it really is just she really edited it really beautifully. The essays,
and also Leslie Peacock. Hats off to her. She was a dynamic early reader who made many terrific suggestions for my writing.
Yeah.
She just, so many people. Hopefully we can raise a glass to all these people when it's safe to gather in a real way next year.
Do a book signing. Yeah. My favorite thing is seeing when you saw the book, you saw the volume 1, you're like, well, mine could have been that big if I had known. So mad.
That was my first reaction.
Yeah,
is what about these 400 paintings we didn't show, and what about the 200 sculptures we didn't show? Because if I thought that I was allowed to have a book that big, watch out, everybody.
Yeah.
How many pages are in this thing? So for those of you who haven't seen them, volume 1, it has almost 800 pages. And the second volume,
514.
It's almost double.
They over 1,300 pages combined, and they're a tome. I know I've been joking and kind of like if I for some reason leave this job and go to a next interview, I'm just gonna drop the books down on the table.
And walk out.
I mean, you could do that as well. I'm just here you go.
There we go. Bring your portfolio.
Yeah. Boom.
Gosh, I might do that. I didn't have anything to do with it hardly, but it's like,
You got the boom.
what?
Yeah.
I was somewhere in the periphery.
Project manager. Yeah. How many have you ever thought of making a photography book before, or participating in a project like this again?
I mean, yeah, it'd be great, of course. Any kind of collection or body of work like this, being a part of it is, I mean, it's amazing. It's an honor. I'd love to do it again with, I mean,
Yeah. Well,
any number of, yeah.
we have a show coming up next year.
There we go.
Yeah. More catalogs.
You were a local celebrity before this, Rhett, but
Oh,
now you're.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
That's true. That was fun. Well, I don't know if y'all have time for some weird curator questions, but if you want to go down the rabbit hole, do you have to go down that?
I do, but I
Yeah.
could probably pull off another 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if
Okay.
I mean.
And if these are too much, we can say no. Okay.
No, you're fine.
Oh,
You're
I
good.
love
hope,
where this is going.
Yeah, no,
I've not
So,
read these.
Let's get to the weird ones.
yeah, no, it's good.
So,
And
so Derek, deep dive.
Oh, we're getting deeper. Let's
Okay.
go.
Okay. What are your thoughts on authenticity? Capturing the essence or character of each object, building, interior, or person that you shoot. Are you ready for this?
That's what she was
So-
warning us about.
wait, that was a lot in there.
So what are your thoughts on authenticity? Like capturing the essence of, like we were talking, like the objects or the interiors or even the people that you shoot.
Let's come back to that.
Okay. Well, I would say
There's
like I know like I can now look at something and be like that Rhett took that. I can
Okay.
like spot interior, especially your portraits, but even the like just individual. I'm like, oh yeah, Rhett took that,
Yeah.
and it's just an interesting. It's very unique.
It's like you have a maker's mark without a
Yeah,
maker's mark.
yeah. It's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay. Still, I'll come back to that because I think that might be a stylistic
Yes.
thing a little more than an authenticity.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I definitely think that authenticity is important, but I think y'all are referring to like, yeah, I guess there is like maybe almost not hyper realism, but like a realism that speaks to authenticity because you kind of see the little, the pores or the hairs or the cracks in the grain of certain stuff, and yeah, I think that's important, showing kind of the fabric of something, whether it's a piece of furniture or a painting or a person. So yeah.
Well, that's great. Yeah, hyperrealism is a good description.
And I don't know actually if a photograph can be hyperreal. I just say that, but like, because a photograph's a photograph, so it is. You're documenting an existing object or person, so it's not like. But I guess
It can be hyper real.
right, sure. And I do have kind of just this knee-jerk reaction to how photoshopped things are.
Oh yes.
That I kind of like to pull out the flaws, which is also just what makes anything itself, I guess. So yeah, through lighting and contrast and whatnot, you can get at those kind of little parts that might be kind of softened in other trailing off.
No, that's true.
I've never seen, we've had numerous photographers. I've seen many photographs of the pieces in our collection, but never has there been a photographer that I've been so excited to see the finished product from. Because of, your style or aesthetic or, whatever we want to call it. It's just, you have all of our opinions during the shoot about what we want you to pick up and capture and focus on, and then you're able to go into your studio and pick up other things, and it's just like a new window or a new perspective for us to see the objects through, and yeah, it's just been infinitely like interesting and just I've personally never been as excited about a photographic product of our collection.
Oh
that
yeah.
happened.
One of the things we haven't talked about was that chair photo shoot, where we were for a second we're like, oh, maybe we'll do a different cover, and so we like stacked all the chairs on top of one another, and it was like, cannot wait to see what those look like at
That
the
was
end.
such an epic. I can't believe like we almost forgot to talk about
know.
that. That was an epic day because we have, you know, all these standards and practices for how we handle these objects, and
we broke them all.
we broke all the rules within reason.
Very bad curator.
We're
We were
stacking
careful.
chairs. We're padding in between the chairs
Kind
in
of.
a kind of in a hidden way, and you know, if we could, and
I
then
know-
we didn't, and then we're like, when is Swanee gonna come in? When is he gonna be gone so
Yeah.
we can do weirder stuff?
Yeah. And then I don't know if I was like, it's photoshopped, right? Made
We
that
were afraid to show him the
Yeah.
pictures. Yeah, when we got the pictures,
I
we
still
told
told him
them
it was
we told
photoshopped.
them that Rett photoshopped them together, that we didn't actually stack them together. We were chickens.
That's one photograph that we didn't include in the show that's in the second floor.
No, but we want to get.
but
them
we're gonna get it
printed.
printed just because they're so fun.
Yeah, so there's definitely one where they were all kind of in a
Like,
jumble.
yeah.
But like very delicately placed.
They were in
In-
a
in
delicate
yeah,
jumble.
absolutely. It was still white glove handling.
There was
Yeah.
probably some curators, all in addition to Swanee, that we had to make sure weren't in the room.
Yes.
I left Hattie Felton out of that credit.
Yeah.
segment
Hattie.
too. Hattie,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yes.
Hattie was probably one of the ones we wanted out of the room,
Yeah, she would have.
as well as Swanee. But
It's just so fun.
you know, me, Carrie, and Victoria
that-
are cool with whatever. Were you around that day, Caroline?
Oh, I recall.
Yeah.
Caroline,
that-
Jennifer, we
Yeah.
we
But-
rolled.
And that was one of the photo shoots you were like directing, kind of, because we couldn't. That was a later one. It was very later on, so it's like there was definitely multiple points where it's like we're too far in this, can't see clearly, and make good choices almost. And then we were thinking about different, you know, like multiple objects on a cover and how would that work. And what would be a good testament, like we were talking about how, you know, bringing up to the 20th century show that these are new books and new editions. But we're like, Donna, you have to direct this because we can't.
Yeah, because you knew I'd get weird.
Yeah, but then like
That's
y'all
why I'm
two,
here
like
tonight,
we're like,
probably.
oh yeah, let's do all this weird stuff. It was very fun to watch.
Yeah, it was definitely cool arranging and
Creating
to find-
compositions
yeah.
with the objects.
Yeah, you're like, let's try this and
I'm
just move
glad,
it all.
I'm glad we ended up with cover images that were just one object because these objects can hold their own. They don't need to be. They don't need accomplices.
Oh, I
Right.
know, that's the thing. It's like
You know.
seeing the photographs every time when they pop up on your computer screen. It's just like, oh, damn. Like, I said it again, but like, oh my gosh, they're just incredible. Like, wow. Like, wow.
We're gonna
That's
have to
awesome.
edit your
Well, look,
edit a word in
bleep.
there.
So, I mean, was it a consensus? Like, I mean, were y'all all on board with the covers? Okay, so
Yeah.
there weren't
think
like
so.
power struggles like I
I
want.
think Victoria and I were very much on the same
Yes.
page all along, and we just had to sort of be firm about our vision, and it worked because we were very fortunate that, you know, Bill's very flexible. He doesn't mind, and Swanee was really,
didn't
you know, I
mind.
thought he'd be very opinionated or may not care for it, and he really trusted the vision, and just it was great.
Yeah, and as much as these books are like the original books that Swanee and Bill wrote, they're very much a testament of like what us as contributors and as Jennifer as an author has added to it. And so I feel like, you know, Bill was just open to anything, but Swanee was very much, you know, he was very thoughtful in understanding that these are more than just about what he's written now, and other opinions do matter, and it was really great. We did have to, you know, I had a lot of stern emails with the press about what cover we wanted. Kind of like, no, we're not doing anything else. Like, this is what we want. Make it happen.
Am I correct when I say, I mean, so he's asking about, was it a hard choice to pick the cover images? And I feel like maybe even early on in the even preliminary designs, not done by the press, but just done sort of we had a look created early on by an outside graphic designer just to get an idea of how we wanted it to look, to present to the press. And I mean, it really was like a few pieces, less than 5.
Yeah.
Or maybe even less than that. presented themselves as big contenders. And it was the two images that made it to the cover. It was that unknown family portrait with a detail of the wife's face that Victoria and Jennifer mentioned earlier, and maybe just a few others. But there were definitely pieces that rose to the occasion immediately from the photographs.
I think the prison table was one of the one of the first objects she shot. Was actually that the top was just that was a contender as well. They're also some of our favorite pieces, and they're great, like just quintessential Arkansas made representations. But it was we sent once we sent these images to the press, they sent back then the layout, and it was just like, oh my gosh, that's it, and it's just incredible. We talked about like the colors and the book jackets, and it was always going to be this linen binding on the outside, so when you take the jacket off, it's really lovely. Oh, yeah.
Victoria and Jen fought for some color on the book jacket, which I think paid off.
Yeah, it was just going to
those
be black
kind of details.
or charcoal.
I find that kind of stuff interesting. Those are the kind of details that, if you take that concept and multiply it by like 2 billion of all the little tiny decisions that had to be made in these volumes.
Well, and it's also like very colorful. Like that was a whole reason to have new editions. It's just like adding, their black and white images in the original, and then lots of color. But even those, they're just like, you can tell they're dated, and you can't even see all the colors of the objects that are in the original books. And so it's just exciting to like bring new life into them, and to really showcase. I just like there's so much color in history, and so it's fun to show through these books. Yeah. Oh yeah. So how much did you mentioned kind of Photoshop earlier? When you were, you would edit, like you would do like a crop maybe. That's all I remember you doing when you were in the midst of shooting things.
Yeah.
How much did you actually edit? Because it didn't seem like much.
Not a whole lot. I just made sure to. I just tried to be as accurate as possible with the color, which that was challenging sometimes because we were in so many different spaces. The room color, even though I would have my own lights, if the light's bouncing around, it would hit objects, especially, the fine art, like paintings and whatnot. That was particularly important. Not that it wasn't important with other stuff, but, for a painting, getting the color correct is like everything.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It was just like making sure I had my color dialed in, and then, just a little, not much. I didn't, obviously I didn't touch anything up because I didn't want to change anything. So it was just, with a lot of the furniture though, I think, I had to, even though we all wore socks and whatnot, I had to repair the backdrop.
Yes, yeah.
A bit.
Just
from like
marks.
Shifting pieces around to photograph all their size and whatnot. But it was basically just color and contrast work. And
I remember the ceramics. It was just like those dirty crocks.
Yeah.
They have grease stains.
Yeah, sure. Because they were used.
Yes, yeah.
And,
all these
actual
objects
pieces.
are used.
Yeah. Not a whole lot. Just making sure that I represented the pieces correctly.
Yeah, I remember seeing, this is funny, but like we had some exhibits afterwards, after we shot, had these photo shoots, and we were hanging them up. We're like, it doesn't look as good as in Rhett's photograph, and a little disappointed, which was sad. We're like, I wish we could just like let people see how we can like truly see it. Because like there's just the lights of the gallery and all it is. It's very hard to, fully display while trying to conserve an object. But,
exactly. The whole conservation part of it. If you have it out for a couple years in full sun or whatever, then there you go.
Yeah. We don't have to do more hard questions.
can.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
You had good questions.
Yeah,
you
some
can,
of
do them.
you can
Whatever
throw
you
them
want.
out.
I'll throw
and
'em at you.
If I bomb it, you just
We
you,
just delete
you
it.
cut it. Yeah. I mean,
Gross.
so I'm sorry,
I
I'm
don't
not
even remember these.
No, it's okay.
amazing. This
You
is
are
my
amazing.
This is
first.
great.
This is all of our first.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah,
Well-
no, yeah, so totally.
Well,
We
you
did
s-
our first Zoom thing a couple months ago.
I don't
That
know.
was-
Y'all
yeah.
seem like seasoned podcasters.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like I'm on Radio Lab or something.
I've had to do a lot of stuff with the books, and but it's been nice because it's like something, I don't know, it's a first, I guess, but it's like something we love, so it's just easy to talk about.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and y'all know the ins and outs completely. So
Well, and it
you
was such a
can.
like fun project. It's just like fun.
I mean, so deeply fulfilling.
Mhm.
I mean,
Oh.
what a treat.
Like,
the treat of a lifetime.
Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, a
When
life's
I
work
am
of.
90, I will wax poetic
Yes.
about this experience we all had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for real. Yeah, working on Arkansas Made is really just like the work of a lifetime and life's passion, I think, for both of us. It's just very much want to bring life to all these different and amazing artists.
For sure.
Yeah. It's very exciting. Oh, yeah. So something else I think that we haven't quite talked about, but we're talking about how amazing the photographs are. And you're listed as is in the intro. It's like, principal photographer, Rett Peek.
Mhm.
But in the back, we have contributors for who authored certain sections. But I feel like almost you should be an author because the pictures really have a voice that's like consistent throughout and really like speaks. I don't know. It's a very interesting voice that comes through in the photographs. I don't know if anyone else sees that,
I
but
agree with that. I do see that.
Well, thank you.
well, they are like, even though they are the work, a scholarly endeavor to document all these different objects is really, I mean, if anything is lost, and
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely tried to stay within a lane here, even though we switched colors of backdrops, or like maybe things were environmental, maybe it was architecture. I tried to approach each piece in a similar fashion, as far as the lighting, but also the angles and like where I came in on a chair or a building, kind of the same kind of just perspective.
Yeah. Did this experience, working with material and culture, and especially Arkansas Made objects, change the way you think about historical objects and places?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, day one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that prison table. I mean, I had no idea what we were going to be doing.
No.
I was just,
Wow.
I mean, I'm from here. I was born here. I spent my whole life here. But unfortunately, I wasn't well versed in Arkansas Made items.
Well, most people
I mean,
aren't.
outside of, I know a few big name architects. Outside of that, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
And then, so like, we're photographing, a table made in a prison by prisoners, and it was this amazingly detailed, very impressive piece. And it absolutely changed my the way. Well, I don't even know that I thought about the way anything here was made prior to. So it just it opened up a whole new thing. To me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Did it change how you think about other Arkansas artists and artisans and your own role in that creative legacy?
I mean, yeah, it definitely. You can kind of fit yourself and then your contemporaries in kind of a little piece of this fabric or timeline. I might not have thought about that before, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been, preserving the legacy of others definitely makes you think of the work you're doing as well and how it all fits in. Even if it's just, capturing a moment or, through the books, it's like just capturing some of the voices.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, just, yeah, helping capture all this was...
Oh yeah, that hunting horn is the one with the monkey in the tree. So interesting.
All of these hunting horns are...
There's sexy Colonel Belk.
Awesome.
Yes.
Guy.
He's so attractive. I have to stop. Every time I make a post on social media, I have to be like, do not sexualize this person. That's wrong. But he's so attractive.
And who is this? This
He
is
really
who made
is.
it?
He was captured. He was a World War II pilot, and he was captured by German forces when his plane went down, I think in France. And he was in the prison camp that's The Great Escape is based on. And so we have all these objects, a lot of drawings, and so he drew the camp and like Mussolini, Stalin, all these different figures, Churchill. But then we have this hunting horn that's really lovely, and it's got that, it's unique because it's such dark horn material, and then a white band that's been painted, and then like that red eye, which is really cool. And I think it's the latest hunting horn we have. But then we decided to include his prisoner of war card. Very interesting. Yeah.
Just because he's so handsome.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's also context. We weren't sure when. We have no clue. All the other objects that we have from him, from his descendant, are all related to him being a POW. So we don't know if that was made then or before or what, but it's good context. It's a fun story. Yeah, and then most of the hunting horns are all made by these two makers, which is so neat. That's one of my favorite things, is discovering those makers and being able to talk about them. But they're so fun how you can see how they're all kind of similar. I wish that would come back in hunting culture around Arkansas, like some fun, more crafts and stuff. I guess duck calls have kind of taken over in that regard.
Yeah, and there's some kind of known
Yes.
duck call.
Oh, definitely. And I've started showing some duck calls in Arkansas made, because they just have all these beautiful details.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. And then how people talk about how they're carved to make, because the horns are also carved to make a certain sound, certain note. And the duck calls are also, and just like that consistency of craft. Yeah. Well, that's kind of it, I guess.
I feel like there was a question I saw somewhere. Let's see.
It's back and forth.
Let's ask Jennifer a question.
No, I don't need a question. I'm sure I've spoken plenty. I feel like there's a question about things being
I'm sorry.
large or looking different.
Oh,
or-
yeah.
I wanted to know what Rett would say about that, but I don't know if I see the question. But how photography can transform objects.
Mhm. Yes.
And in photographs, this one.
Yeah.
This. I want to know what Rett says to
Oh,
that.
yeah. Okay, so, yeah, we've been talking about this, about how, like, we referenced the Rutherford painting, that was that woman in the black dress. And we didn't even know that it was a colored dress. It was this blue dress.
Right.
And so, photography just can transform objects and reveal certain things with more color and clarity versus looking at it with the naked eye. But why does that happen?
Well, I mean, so it's the way that, so with the painting, I guess it would be just the lighting, pretty much.
Yeah.
So if I'm, kicking in a light, I mean, and lighting it evenly and from a specific angle where there's no glare, you're going to pull out more than, the naked eye can get, especially in someone's home that's maybe not well or evenly lit. I mean, scientifically, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
I just know that, I mean, it's just being able to kick in a bunch of light in a fraction of a second evenly, and that's about I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it's just interesting, like that painting, even when you see it in our collection storage, and we do have lighting there that's, in the area that it's in, that's pretty bright. But it's so interesting, like, you taking these photographs and we seeing details, and it's just like being able, it's like training our eyes also to look at details that we couldn't have noticed, but also they are still so subtle in person, even with great lighting.
Yeah.
The photographs, it's like even more lighting than would ever be exposed to them at one point,
Right.
or at one time. But it's just interesting to, like, you do have to, like, get in close and, like, be like, you have to look at this one part of the sleeve, and then you can see the detail in person. But you can't see a lot of it unless you're looking at the photograph, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. I think Rhett's photography really transformed a lot of these objects for me.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people, you know, we grow up seeing picture books, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're used to seeing two-dimensional images, and it's very easy for many people, in fact I'd say most people, to not make the connection in their brain that it's an object and that it has this life and appearance and presence different from you know, a flat page in a book. And so, you know, on some of the objects there was I think a painting by Ben Brantley and a few others. We were very intent on having the frame show in the image, which many books don't often show paintings in their frames, but it sort of reminds you that it's presented and it's hung and it's in a place. And, you know, some of the photos you took when we traveled to Old Washington or people's homes, you know, a few of the objects are shown not with a studio backdrop, but, you know, in situ. And I feel like it's really nice to be reminded that these are objects in the first place. And as you know, I'm a person who spends all day with objects, and sometimes as an appraiser, you know, I put on this thing called an optivisor, which is these kind of nerdy glasses that help you see paintings really up close and personal. And it's funny because you put those on and you're transported. It's like you've been dropped out of a hot air balloon into the terrain, and you can kind of see. And I feel like it's funny in this book, a lot of these images, you know, I've known these, unlike most readers, have known these as objects. And so to see them sort of moved onto a flat page, it sort of lets me see the image in a new way, kind of naked of its context, in a way that I sort of love. Because it's a whole new experience of the object.
Oh, definitely. And that's why it's so exciting to have the show right now and to have them even bigger. I remember we got the group of the silver beakers, and I think that was also like one of the shots where like, oh my gosh, that's it. I'll try not to curse anymore, but it's just like, oh my gosh, amazing. But then when we unrolled, we you know, the dimensions of that were a little off, and we were trying to stick with a certain frame size for this show, just so, you know, and they would be too big. We're like, no, this has to be like bigger and better. And it's just, it really is wonderful how it is so different. You know, you just think of it in a different light, and also thinking of them as, rather than, you know, the silver beakers that belong to the Ashley family that they drink mint juleps out of. It's just like, what beautiful objects these are, and just pieces of art, and then even more so grouped together in this formation. It's just like, just so incredible. Can't wait to hang it in my office later. No, it's really exciting.
So the photos are up now?
Yeah, you can go see them.
Okay.
We're the vinyl got up today, and then we're debating what to do with captions. So we're like, I think we might have 2 of the books out, and so people can reference.
Cool. So are there going to be, so it's pieces and photographs?
No, it's just the photographs.
Just the photos, okay.
Yeah.
I can't wait
They're
to
in the
see
hall.
this. I am really
They're really lovely.
excited, because the only thing greater than seeing your images in this book would be seeing them larger on the wall.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, you'll be transported back to your hot air balloon so that you can get like into the minutia of little corners of the pieces.
I can't wait.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
that's the thing I love, is you notice things you don't note, you know.
Sure.
It's kind of fun to drop the big picture and see the little picture for a minute.
And some of them, sorry, I've got ice, but the quilts especially were like we showed 2 quilt images, and they're great. They're very colorful in person, but they're just like so vibrant and incredible. And it's also so wonderful to see because unlike a lot of the objects we show that are actually, the photograph is pretty much captures the real size of those. You know, quilts are, 8 by 10 feet. They're huge.
Yeah.
And these are just, nicely like 30 inches by, 26. And it's just lovely to see them as graphic objects as well. And I think that helps elevate and makes them into something different as, these real graphic pieces, which is lovely.
Yeah, I can't wait to check it
When
out.
does that open?
This Friday.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to come see that.
Yeah.
Is it open to the public? You can go.
We're
in
not
person?
having Second Friday Art Night in person,
Okay.
but it's open during the day
Okay.
and on the weekend as well.
So in the daytime, I'll have to come.
Yes.
Take a trip down memory lane.
Yes. No, it's really fun. We picked one that's the Isaac Scott Hathaway bust of Frederick Douglass.
Oh, sure.
And Carrie was trying to find the picture, but there was like one, and she's carrying it, and she's just like squatting because it's unbelievably heavy.
Sure.
And it's so awkward. But then that piece is just like, the perfect gold sheen to it. It's just such a lovely piece. Yeah. And then there's another favorite that's actually not in the book. It's the only thing that's not in the book we had you photograph was a rifle made by Howard Sturm. And it's like, I'm not big on guns, but like, wow, is that a sexy gun? That sounds wrong, but it's like his, the wood he chose was like a curled maple. And so it's just this like tiger stripe looking, and then he has all these, like curves and details. And he talks about
I
how,
remember that,
yeah.
I think, with the like finger.
Yeah. Yes, his
whole thing.
the
Yeah.
trigger guard is
Yeah,
just like
sure.
so ornate.
There we go,
Yeah,
trigger guard.
and we chose the butt of the gun detail shot with the trigger guard
Yeah.
because it's just so lovely. And it's fun because he is an artist, he was an artist, and mainly a photographer and watercolorist and painter. And he talks about how he made guns as art and like took all that different aspects. So it was an interesting. Shooting the guns was like the one thing that really transformed viewing that medium for me. It was like, oh, these are beautiful, intricate objects. They happen to be, and a lot of them were like presentation. They weren't like, I'm gonna go shoot some squirrel, whatever. But
Right,
yeah.
it was like gifted to,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's really lovely. Yeah.
Hearing you
Anyway.
say that makes me think that I hope his daughter Ellen Stern knows about this
Oh, yeah.
to come see it, because
Oh, yes.
almost all of these objects have that kind of tie.
Mhm.
This is everyone's collective legacy in
Mhm.
a way, and it's really great.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, we need to contact her. Yeah. Well, cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. I guess we can end it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess we survived this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks y'all for joining us. That was just absolutely wonderful. Great conversation.
So much fun. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us.
Yeah.